So here we are at the infamous Caleb's Bar and Grill at the base of the Buffalo Ridge in wonderful Buffalo, West Virginia, just about a half a mile from the Toyota plant.
It's one of our places we love to come and hang out and drink cold beers and enjoy our friends and family.
And get an early start to the day. Cheers.
Cheers.
So Seabass wanted us to start this morning talking about our military, something we might be a little bit familiar with.
Well, I served 23 years.
I didn't make it quite that far. I was 22 and a half, but close enough. We'll round up.
Yeah, let's talk about the current state of our military right now. I'll start off. I think that because of this new administration and our new Secretary of Defense, I know for a fact the military's happy, and I know we're going to get better.
Speaking of the new SecDef, Pete Hegseth, a lot of people say, well, this guy doesn't have a long career in the military. But I think when people start out in the military, they're altruistic. They want to do the right thing for the right reasons. They want to serve, and they want to go out there and do the right thing. This guy got out, I think, as a junior major or a captain, right? So he wasn't around long enough to, in my mind, really. And not to say that senior officers get poisoned or anybody, but he did a short amount of time, and he was on the tactical level. So what troops really need and experience and want, he has real-world combat operational experience that I think is refreshing. I think we need that.
He was only in for that short of time. Well, he wasn't a short time, but he wasn't in long enough to get politicized yet. He was still with the warfighter. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He was on the company level.
He was on the company level. So he was with the warfighters every day. He knows what the warfighters need. He knows what they fucking want. He knows what they need to accomplish their mission. He knows what our priorities are, and he's bringing that back.
And I appreciate, and you see this in the media, who he's out visiting and where he's going. He's going down to Gitmo.
He's doing PT with the troops.
Right. And
what Secretary of Defense have we ever seen do that?
And listen, people will scoff at that and say, he doesn't have the experience.
Shit.
With the will to do the right thing and focusing on those that have to do the last 100 yards.
Let me tell you something. I could take a good, badass corporal, and he knows what the warfighters needs.
For God's sakes, we have a corporal as a vice president.
Matter of fact, we do. Matter of fact, how does that? Yeah, that's a fact.
There you go.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Semper Fi, Corporal.
Semper Fi.
But I look at where we've been, right? And granted, I've been retired for 7 years, but I still go down. I'm always on military installations. I've been to Campbell, Lejeune lately, and you go in there leading up to a few months ago. And you see 10 to 12 policy letters on the wall. You see motorcycle safety, tobacco cessation, all these things. While important, but the number one priority should be warfighting, getting that 18 or 19-year-old young man or woman home from to accomplish his mission. And we need to get back to a time where there's one policy letter on the wall, and it's the commander's leadership and training philosophy. That's all they need to know.
Like me, when I was in the Marine Corps, the only thing I needed was the commander's intent.
That's it.
You give me the commander's intent. That's what I think should be hanging on the bulkhead or the wall, whatever the hell you want to call it.
And I'm sure we'll talk about this later, and it's always intertwined with what we say, but it goes back to the traits and principles.
Absolutely.
It goes back to the traits and principles. If I'm taking care of my brother, I don't, and I'm helping to arm his moral compass, as I teach and lead him, or I'm being taught or led. It goes both ways. I don't need a policy letter to tell me to do that. So when I look at, I've got to assume that as we look at cleaning up the Department of Defense and we look at getting rid of things that don't matter, we need to streamline what we're doing, because at the end of the day, when I use the Marine Corps model, I want to see a Department of Defense that gives time back to a captain and a gunny to train their company to go do the last 100 yards. Because there's no more expensive or precious resource than American blood. And the less of it we've got to lose to spill the enemy's blood, the better off we are. So I wish this current administration nothing but the best of luck.
Absolutely. And I think they're going the right way with this. Me and you have seen it firsthand with blood on the battlefield. And the people and I guarantee it, the people that are bitching right now about how Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, is doing things, making warfighting a priority, has never looked into an 18-year-old's eyes after a firefight when he stares right through you and his soul is gone. And he aged 10 years in 45 minutes for fighting for his life, or had to evacuate one of your Marines off the battlefield, which we had to do with one of your Marines.
You know
it
what?
was a sad day.
You know,
people don't see that.
Even when you do everything right? I mean, I lost a Marine that went out on his shield, saving his brothers.
Damn right.
Norman Anderson, affectionately known as Wally. And I think about the hardest thing I ever had to do was getting off the bus in the 3-6 parking lot.
Seeing his mom and dad there.
And I was the first guy from the platoon that went up to greet his parents. His parents were there to see us get off the bus. So we know all too good and well that diplomacy is paid for with American blood. And the less of that we've got to lose, the better. And I don't care how we get there. And we've tried really, the previous administration and just kind of where we've gone with our culture has went the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
Look, we've gotten so careful with what we say and how we do things. Listen, I don't care if I have 5 Asian dudes and it's the 5 deadly venoms. I don't care if I got 5 black dudes and we call it the Soul Patrol. I don't care if I've got 5 white trash dudes from the Camelot Trailer Park.
That is irrelevant.
If they are the 5 best dudes, right, I want them on my side.
How many times did you ever look at your platoon roster and say, how many black Marines do I have in my platoon?
How many Asians?
How many Asians?
How many Hispanics?
Not one time.
Nobody cares.
One time. Nobody
cares.
The only thing we care about is accomplishing our mission and getting our boys home. End of story.
We have wasted too much time on that doesn't matter.
Right.
And I don't think the general public gets this on the news that they see. I think that's why podcasts have kind of gotten famous or more popular, because you're going to get some ground truth from guys that have lived or experienced this, right?
They're telling the goddamn truth.
Right.
We need to speak truth to power. And I'm telling you, our new SecDev is Secretary of Defense, if those of you out there that don't know. We got the new SecDev. I think he's a war fighter. I think he's going to do great things for his nation. And don't forget, we got a corporal now, the United States Marine Corps corporal, as our vice president.
Yeah, we just need to stop. Yeah, we just need to stop as a nation. Stop being so thin-skinned, and let's just put tough people in tough spots, because that's going to keep Americans alive. And stop wasting our tactical level leaders' time with that does not matter.
The biggest word that I hate is appeasement. We're appeasing certain social groups. And what it's doing is it's going to cost young men and women's lives, which we all know in Afghanistan it did. Right. I don't even want to go into that. We all know what happened there.
Right. At the end of the day,
at the pullout.
At the end of the day, when I go and I visit commanders and I go and visit troops in my line of work, when I'm out visiting people, the biggest problem that they have is the military is trying to redesign itself for 2030 is we take their time for things that don't matter. So I think as we turn over a new page in our government and we have a new administration, that there is a focus when we talk about force design, that we're giving time back to make sure that our troops are ready to close that last 100 yards. And we hear people say this all the time. Our most precious resource is the Marine or the soldier or the airman or the sailor. It's not a piece of kit. Building that bond and that brotherhood and having people that are tough, hardened people, that's going to matter when you get downrange.
Look, we don't work for Bob's Big Boy or whatever. They don't work at a corporation. I hate the word institution. People call the Marine Corps an institution sometimes. I hate that word. I hate the word careerist, because careerists make decisions based upon their career, not based upon whether it's a right or wrong thing to do. So I try. Sometimes the illegal thing to do is the right thing to do. I don't give a damn who you are. And that's why the Commandant of the Marine Corps invested that power in me as a senior staff NCO to make certain decisions, which is, number one, accomplish a mission and to get our boys home. End of story.
Special trust and confidence.
That's it. It says it on my warrant.
You've used this a lot of times. I tell a Marine, I wake up tomorrow morning and here in the mountains of Afghanistan, I want to see that mountain painted red. You didn't tell them how to do it. You didn't tell them where to find paint. You didn't tell them where to get a brush. You said make it happen. And guess what? By the next morning, if you set those Marines up right, you're going to have a mountain that's painted red.
That's right, because I totally trust them. I know what's going to happen. Fire and forget. I could tell a Marine NCO that's trained properly, and he's not sucked into this DEI or this woke or this feeling sorry for himself. Just I can say, hey, Corporal, I want that there done now. Boom. Close my eyes. I can go to bed, and I know it's already done. Yeah. I know it's done.
And there's...
But that comes through training. training, and just the warrior spirit.
And, you know, there's some people out there that are going to watch this that don't know us, but I will tell you, sitting here 7 years removed from service, Bo's 12 years.
9 years, 12, something
10, 12, whatever. We've both been out for a little bit, but we still have a reunion every year, and our squad leaders, our team leaders, our riflemen, they all come up and they're like,
they still show up.
They still show up. They show us respect, and they say, man, you went on patrol with us. You didn't have to. You did. You fought with us. You didn't waste our time on things that didn't matter. All right, you know, we love you for it, and we're friends with those guys for the rest of our life. So here, we're not speaking about this because we watched it somewhere or somebody told us about it. We've lived it, and we continue to reap the fruits of treating our guys right and leading them hard but fair. It matters.
But now, not taking anything away from anybody, but we didn't live on a regular base when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like a lot of other units, not taking anything from them, they had chow halls, they had showers, they had TV, they had all this. We had none of that. We lived in the dirt for 6 freaking months, okay? Literally, we got hot chow, like what, once a week? And that's when we had to go through IED Alley to go pick it up, the company gunner did, and then bring it back to the boys, okay? Once a week, if lucky. There was no spaghetti bar, none of that, you know, and people say, oh, well, I was over there too, and I took a rocket here and there. Wow, whoop-de thank you for your service. We got rocketed, and we were in a firefight every goddamn day. So I know what the warfighter needs, and I believe so does our new SecDef. And I just thank God that we have somebody back in the office that understands that.
And give the time back to our tactical level leaders. And for those that don't understand that, that's company and below. That's a handful of senior enlisteds and some junior officers that are leading a company of about 120, 150 men into combat. Give them the time back because they get a lot of raw material from all walks of life. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, somewhere in between. Some you don't know where they've come from. It don't matter. But give them time to develop that raw material to keep their brothers and sisters alive in combat. That matters. That matters. Right. I think we got brighter days ahead, Seabass.
I do too. We got brighter days ahead, and I'm excited about it. I wish I was in the military right now.
You think we'd pass height and weight?
I don't know about the weight thing. I'm a little bit heavy nowadays.
Wise man J.D. Alford once said, I've never seen a man have to run further than 30 yards in combat. I'm thankful for that statement.
That's another thing. General Alford, I'll tell you this right now. You talk about commanders. He was one of the senior officers that understood that every billet and every rank was important. It was never about him.
No.
Now, we'll talk about him later.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, that was the man right there.
And I think the reason we're so passionate about this is the sergeant, the lieutenant, and the lance corporal, they matter. You know why? Because they ain't got a choice.
That's right.
You're going. Whether that was, you know.
Hey, and you know what, though? They don't have a choice. But they do it with open heart, and they do it. They don't even ask no questions. Aye, aye, Gunny. Aye, aye, Staff Sergeant.
That's it.
Aye, aye, sir.
That's it.
And they go.
That's it.
And they go.
And that doesn't matter if that's Way City. It doesn't matter if it's Iwo Jima. It doesn't matter if it's the Chosin Reservoir. It doesn't matter if it's the Korengal Valley, Nagalam, anywhere we've been. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
Where Marines and frontline soldiers go,
right.
They don't got a choice. They got to go, and they fight for the man to their left or right.
That's a fact. Yep.
So everything that we do should be supporting them. So giving time back to their leaders to train them, to prepare them for such things, that's the utmost importance.
They know what they need. Not some 4-star sitting in some cute office talking about DEI.
Amen. I think that's all we got, man. I think that's a wrap.
We better, because I haven't took my medication this morning.
Hey,
so we better wrap her up.
Hey, this is JC and Bo. Thanks for joining us here at the infamous Caleb's Bar and Grill at the base of the Buffalo Bridge. And we'll catch you guys here again soon. Cheers.
Cheers.